r/askreddit. What did you try and found out it's not for you? Meth. Worst experience I've ever had in my life. So glad I wasn't one of the ones that get hooked on that stuff. Being a teacher. I love the teaching. I hate being a teacher. Edit, the funny thing is that I'm still teaching. Will be changing after this school year is done. Do I know what to? Not really, but I shiver at the thought of another 30 years to go. Edit 2, I've seen tons of questions and I'll put it this way without going too deep, it's not you, it's me. I need to work on me right now. Being a crime scene investigator. I have a bachelor's degree in forensics. I got hired in my dream position at 23, just 2 years after I graduated. This was Plan A, the dream I had been working toward since I decided to go into forensics when I was 16. Then I quit after just 3.5 months. I wasn't prepared for how intense crime scenes are. One of my supervisors had once told me that we aren't called because someone is having a good day. And she was absolutely right. There are so many players and so many moving parts. I was overwhelmed with what I was expected to know and remember. I could have gotten over that aspect, but the emotional and mental intensity of a scene would paralyze me. Most death investigation crime scenes we were called to were suicides, homicides, and drug overdoses. Almost never had someone died peacefully surrounded by people they loved. It was always violent and lonely. I had a tendency to think about a person's last moments that led up to why we were there, and I would be overcome with emotion. I had panic attacks at multiple scenes. I would always get the work done, but it took such a toll. One day at a burglary scene, I broke down and told my trainer that I don't think I could do this job. She took over the scene while I went to the van and cried on the phone to my mom. I quit the next week. I finished up any open cases I had and threw in the towel. I couldn't do it. It took a long time for me to be okay with that decision. I knew if I stayed that job it would have killed me. I was praised for realizing early on that this wasn't the job for me and getting out, but I felt like such a failure. I also felt the degree I got from university was now useless and that I had wasted thousands of dollars for nothing. I'm very lucky to have a support system who love me and care for me. I wouldn't have made it through this decision without them. It would have eaten me alive. I'm about 1.5 years removed from when I quit, and I still sometimes struggle. I'm in a new position now where I work closely with the crime scene investigators I worked with, and I'm much happier. Edit, the bit that reads, almost never had someone died peacefully surrounded by people they loved. It was always violent and lonely, was added for context and perspective for the reader. I knew I wasn't going to see peaceful deaths. And never once did I say that's what I expected. I was a cook for all of my 20s, and the only saving grace of that god-awful line of work was the co-workers. I think the main reason we all got along so well was because none of us really liked or cared about our jobs. With no room to advance, nobody's stabbing each other's backs to get ahead, and nobody needs to act polite or pretend they like being there. Honestly, I kind of miss it. I tried a sensory deprivation tank because I thought it would be therapeutic, etc., and it devolved into a panic attack. I really tried to ride it out, but 15 minutes in I crawled out crying and shivering. Apparently some of us need to feel connected to our senses to feel real. Also the salt burned the shit out of my scalp. Wear a swimming cap if you're gonna try it. Your story reminds me of the time I was having an MRI done on my back. If you've seen an MRI machine, it's basically like a thick donut-shaped thing that goes back really deep. Like, if you need your knee MRI'd, just your legs would be in the machine and most of your body would be out, but since it was my back, they had to slide me all the way in. I had never done one before, and before they slid me in there, the nurse hands me a thing to squeeze in case I need help. I literally laughed and was like, what could go wrong, huh? Right before they slid me in, I asked how long it would take and the doctor said about 45 minutes. WTF? After it started, I swear it felt like a coffin and it started to get warm and make crazy loud sounds. I couldn't turn my head or body, and when I opened my eyes the thing was like 2 inches from my face. I didn't last 2 minutes and started squeezing the emergency thing like crazy. Nope, get me out of here, sorry. After they let me out, I was like, sorry, I wasn't ready. Let me try again. The second go-around was even shorter than the first and I noped out of there. So basically, I didn't have a much-needed MRI done that day because of claustrophobia that I never knew I had. I told the doctor that had booked the MRI originally that I couldn't do it, and she convinced me to try one more time on another day and prescribed Valium for that day. I was skeptical, but the time I tried, the Valium worked so well that it felt like I was in a cocoon of wonderfulness, and the 45 minutes somehow flew by and I didn't want to get out of the machine when it was over. Office jobs. I feel this one. Spent 5 years doing office work and didn't realize just how much it was taking little pieces of myself in that role. It wasn't hard, but was unappreciated and had no real direction. The team completed stuff and somehow I was supposed to feel fulfilled without having any part in the achievement. Instead, I went to electrical lineman school. It was hard on my body, but I managed to stick it out. Graduated and took a groundman position doing real line work. So far, as a career, it's been fulfilling to have a hand making modern living possible. Way more satisfying, but I seriously need to take stock in Motrin. Me and warehousing. We loaded X amount of trucks this week, a new record good for us. We broke records almost every week and never got raises or anything. Now I work for a non-profit as a maintenance man for group homes for people with severe and persistent mental illnesses. I feel appreciated, and when I go to these homes I can look around and know I've made a place where people who struggle to keep their homes livable, better. In one case I completely redid a client's room. We tore up the floor and repainted everything and got them new furniture, and after that the client improved dramatically. I directly helped and improved someone's life, and the normal staff helped keep them from backsliding to where they were when they came to us. Compare that to loading trucks for corporate overlords and there's no contest. I'm still not getting pay raises though. Casual hookups. A committed relationship is far less stressful and more satisfying. Edit, thank you for the gold, kind stranger. I wasn't expecting this to blow up. I guess I should elaborate further, but I think quite a few of you already have a solid idea as to why. I've got no issue with people that do find satisfaction from casual sex. For some it can even be liberating. Different strokes for different folks. But our society puts casual sex on a pedestal while also being contradictory and shaming the people who do frequently engage in it. It is what it is. Personally, engaging in the perpetual chase for finding partners that I will only meet for a few-hour romp and then have minimal or no contact at all results in lots of stress and mediocre sex. As an introvert I found that it was far more satisfying to have a committed partner that knows me and whom I can get to know over time. Not having the specter of needing to perform well also makes the activity more relaxing. And I see you demi folk in comments here. Although I don't identify as such, I am dating a demi woman. We are both in our 30s and she has taught me a lot about non-sexual intimacy after nearly lifetime of mixed contradictory messages. Playing the guitar. My teacher straight up promised to give me an A for effort if I didn't come to class anymore. Ada, this was a guitar elective class at a public high school. Ada 2, wow, I did not expect to wake up and be the top comment. I don't think I've been the top comment or had this many of quotes on anything on Reddit ever. Thanks for all the awards. Shout out to Mr. Shiga. He really was an amazing teacher and I just really was that bad. He actually had a ton of patience with me until we both realized that guitar was just not for me and it was probably better to take that stress off of my already very heavy plate senior year. It was actually first period, so I was happy to not have to go to class, and I brought him Starbucks pretty often as a thank you. Scuba. I love the water, I've been swimming since I was a tot. But the part of my brain that says breath, said no when I was underwater for any more than 10 minutes. I went out to do my qualification dive, made the swim to the buoy, and on the return trip I left the water and informed my instructor. He was there with another couple for their second checkout dive and so finished with them and we all went home. I wish I could have done it. He even told me I had a year to come back and try it again. I drove by his storefront every day on the way to and from work and was never once tempted to stop in. I'm in a scuba class right now, and in our first time underwater a couple weeks ago I got really panicked at one point when trying to find the regulator. It was just in 5 feet of water in a pool and I was completely safe, but that still stuck with me. I had the thought of maybe this isn't really for me. I hope to still continue and get certified, although it sounds terrifying to be dozens of feet below the surface and unable to shoot right back up for real air. Edit. Update, had class again today and I think I was wrong. It takes some getting used to, but after using those skills more, mask clears, reg retrieval, etc., and becoming more confident that I won't drown, despite the feeling of breathing even though your nose is full of water, scuba can actually be a lot of fun. Programming. Yeah, I was a math major in college, and since math is a prerequisite for most programming courses, I wound up taking some programming courses as electives. Stuck with it long enough to get to an intermediate class. It was at the intermediate level when I decided to, as the kids say, nope the hell out. I'll never forget the conversation I had with the professor. Prof, are you sure this won't affect your major? Me, I'm actually a math major. I'm just taking this as an elective. Prof, oh, crap, then I don't blame you. This is pretty intense for an elective.